Canelo Alvarez beats up John Ryder over 12 rounds, wins the unanimous decision in, it was a better fight than I was anticipating. Really going into this fight, my biggest worry was John Ryder would turn up to survive. Callum Smith style, Paul Butler when he fought Inoue, that type of performance, which would just make the fight very difficult to watch, very dull. You'd have one guy pressing the action, the other guy looking to survive. Thankfully, that didn't happen. John Ryder came with ambition. He came to win. He suffered a very bad, has to be broken nose in the third round when Canelo landed a straight right. And I mean, this was profuse bleeding. It was bad. It was very bad. And John Ryder sucked all that up. He took a lot of punishment in this fight. But I want to say it was really a case of the first 9 rounds, Alvarez was just doing all the work, really trying to put a beating on John Ryder. And then after the 9th round, Canelo just seemed to kind of go into autopilot mode. It was almost a case of, right, I've done what I need to do. I can't get rid of this guy, and let's just see it out. Because John Ryder, you could argue, won the 12th round, but you could argue that 2 rounds, the 2 that the judges gave him, were probably in those rounds, because I didn't see the scorecards. One judge gave Canelo every single round, and 2 judges had it 118, 109. I didn't see the rounds they gave to John Ryder, but Canelo was the clear winner. In terms of how this fight started, Canelo started out the first round picking shots, going to John Ryder's body. John Ryder, you could see from early on, he was in this fight. He was in it to try and win it, but Alvarez was landing the superior shots. This was the much better version of Alvarez that we saw against Triple G. I don't know if it had something to do with the layoff, the fact that he's back home and that he was, looking to put on the show, he's looking to impress, or the fact that, no disrespect, but John Ryder is not on the level of a Triple G. I don't know. But he seemed to just have more about him in this fight. He just seemed to have I was going to say bit between his teeth, but I don't maybe know if maybe that's too strong a way of saying it, but he definitely seemed to be more in the game in this fight. Certainly for the first 9 rounds did Alvarez. And if I had a critique of him, is that when he was landing and throwing the straight right, he was having a lot of success. But he didn't throw it an awful lot. And against someone like John Ryder, a southpaw, a straight right hand is your bread and butter punch. It really is. It's your bread and butter punch. I mean, you ask Ryan Garcia, he tried to land the left hook against southpaw and Tank Davis, didn't have much success, That's where you need to be landing the straight right hand. And obviously Garcia doesn't have a great right hand. So Alvarez was doing that. John Ryder in the clinches was trying to get his uppercuts off early on. And I think really once he got hit with that right hand in the 3rd round and his nose was just busted up, I think that's when he kind of started saying, okay, look, this is going to be a lot more difficult than I thought. This is going to be an Everest type job. In the 5th round, I thought the fight was over in the 5th round because Canelo was starting to find his range. He was starting to land some good shots, and you could see the power on some of them shots. You could hear the thud in some of them shots. Like really, Canelo Alvarez is very much an explosive type fighter. You've someone like a Triple G who's just heavy-handed. Every shot he hits you with is just hard. Whereas Alvarez, it can just be a couple of pitter-patter shots, and then you just see and hear the power when he really throws those shots with maximum velocity. It's just bang. Anyway, he put John Ryder down with a right hand, 1-2 right hand, and the way Ryder went down, he just sank. He just sank down to the canvas, looked at his corner, and to me, I think there was some thoughts in his mind, will I sit this count out? Because he really did get to his feet quite slowly. He was definitely hurt, and I think that there was some kind of consideration in his head just by the way he looked. Will I beat this count? Will I not? He beat the count, and actually, to be fair to his credit, he started trading with Canelo, and he was having some success. I mean, you look at the 5th round, after he gets dropped, he starts landing, he starts hitting Canelo, he starts getting to Canelo a little bit, I felt. So it was a very, very good 5th round, but then it was much of the same in the 6th, 7th, and 8th. The 9th round, it was a round where I personally felt that if the referee Michael Griffin had stopped the fight in the 9th round, I personally wouldn't have complained, because Ryder was hurt a couple of times in that round, noticeably right hands again, and it looked to me like the fight was beaten out of him at that point. It looked to me like he was spent. And again, to be honest with you, having watched the 9th round and seen how it was, if the referee Michael Griffin had stepped in and called a halt to it, I don't think anyone would have really complained. I really don't. It wasn't like a world title or something like that was on the line. Oh, sorry, it was actually. Canelo's titles were on the line. But I wouldn't have complained an ounce. I really wouldn't have, because it just looked to me as though Ryder was, at that point, on his way out. But I think that was kind of Canelo, I think at that point realised, all right, this guy's in there for the night. I don't want to run out of gas, or maybe he was just looking to conserve strength. So as I said, he coasted the last few rounds, gets the win, gets the unanimous decision. In the immediate aftermath, he was saying he wants to rematch Dmitry Bivol in September for his title, wants to get the WBA title, wants to avenge that loss up at £175. So we'll see if that fight will get made. Now, that's what Canelo was saying in the wake of it. Me and Jamie were talking on Thursday night, and I was saying, realistically, like, if he's looking at money and legacy, you may as well just take on Badu Jack at £200 a cruiserweight, because that will be in Saudi for definite. You know, Badu Jack has a good relationship over there. I think he lives over there as well. He'll get an absolute king's ransom to fight Badu Jack as well, because the Saudis will put up crazy money for Canelo. And there you go, there's the 5th division. And with Dmitry Bivol, I mean, they haven't got anyone for him to fight, you know. So I wonder, is this going to be a case of just making Dmitry Bivol wait and just hoping that when we get him in the ring, he's going to be a bit less sharp? I don't know. In terms of having a fight in September, look, I'd be favouring Bivol at £175, certainly. I think certain people underestimate how... Look, the first fight was a Bivol win. That was no ifs or buts. Bivol clearly won the fight, but people underestimate how corrupt those scorecards were, because 2 of the judges had Bivol winning by 2 rounds. And I said to Jamie, you could talk about it in a sense of 2 or 3 punches in maybe 2 rounds could have swung those rounds in favour of Canelo, in which case then we have Canelo winning on split decision. And that's how you need to look at it. For Canelo, he may only need to be 2% better, not to beat Dmitry Bivol necessarily in terms of he is the better man, but to get the decision. And I'm sure that he's thinking that, and I'm sure a lot of others are thinking that as well. I mean, we can't just look and say the judges gave it to the right guy the first time, they'll definitely be fair the next time. It's not always the case. It's definitely not always the case. And certainly for someone like Alvarez, that's definitely not the case. So we'll see how it happens there. John Ryder said in the immediate aftermath he feels Canelo was past his prime. I would say athletically, Canelo's prime is probably gone. Now, when I say gone, I'm not saying he's completely shot, but I would say in terms of his athletic ability, he's probably a year or 2 removed from it. Maybe 2 years removed from it. Maybe 2021 was peak Canelo, when he's never quite going to be quite there again. In terms of him being a shot fighter, certainly not. You know, he is still a world level operator, 100%, make no mistake about it. So Alvarez, I would imagine we're probably in the twilight of Alvarez's career. You know, even though he's only 32, he's been operating at this level for over a decade. He's been fighting since he was 15. I would say, as much as certain people might not like to hear it, I like Canelo myself, he's probably at the twilight of his career. I would say, just from the outside looking in. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. What you think of the fight? Did you get the fight you expected? Did you stay up? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. For now, lads and lasties, I'll leave you with that. Peace.